Hello YouTube, and thanks for tuning in. Just over 4 days remaining until the ICO for ICO Head Start gets underway. I am not going to get into the nitty-gritty of what it is and how it all works. I've done that already in a previous video, so feel free to check that out if you wish. Or better yet, you can go right to the website yourself, check out their white paper, and see if this is something that you'd like to be a part of. But this platform is something that not only myself, but a lot of fellow YouTubers that I am in communication with have been very excited about for some time. So what is ICO Head Start in a nutshell? It is a platform that pre-screens ICOs to come, and it separates the ones that are worthwhile from the ones that could be potential scams. And from those that are deemed worthwhile, through the power of democracy, we as community members or token holders get to decide which ones will see the light of day and which ones will not. The company has been showcased in multiple forms of mainstream media, and they have been on target with their roadmap from day one. And we are currently here in the first half of 2018, where the 30-day ICO is about to get underway. The price is going to increase in increments of 10% every 5 days until the last 5 days, where it will increase a total of 20%. So there is a 60% gain built into the ICO period alone if you get in early enough. Now, of course, nothing gets through YouTube without its fair share of controversy. And in my previous video, some of you felt it necessary to point out that this platform was nothing more than a scam. What was more interesting was the why. And it was because this gentleman here was the founder of a bank that filed bankruptcy in 2009, leaving tens of thousands of people penniless. And you should not get involved in anything that has this man's name associated with it. I imagine that that information came from a Steemit post regarding the platform, because that's pretty much what it said. That ICO Head Start's CEO was the founder of a bank in the Netherlands that failed in 2009. And that's it. But you see, when you make blanket comments like that, one's imagination tends to run wild. Well, allow me to give you some context to that statement, because a lot of you have reached out to me asking why I would invest any money in a platform that is spearheaded by a guy who was head of a bank that filed bankruptcy and scammed a whole bunch of people. And more so, why I would promote such a platform. Well, allow me to give you my answer. Yes, it is true that Dirk here founded a bank in the Netherlands that failed in 2009 due to mortgage-related issues, right? So when I see that, I immediately think to myself, 2009 bank fails due to mortgage-related products. Well, that is certainly not something that is unique to his bank or his country, because it is no secret that during that same time, the United States suffered losses of epic proportions due to mortgage-related issues. So here's the gist of it. Prior to 2009, this man ran that bank for 30 years and built it to a 400 million euro enterprise. Sometime in the mid-90s, like hundreds and hundreds of other mortgage lenders around the world, they decided that they were going to expand their portfolio and get into subprime mortgage lending. Subprime mortgage lending is basically lending to people that have really bad credit. And obviously the risk associated with that type of lending is paramount. And because that risk cannot be eliminated, well, I guess it can be eliminated if you just didn't do it, but it can only be mitigated. Now, what led to the housing crisis of this era was the fact that hundreds and hundreds of mortgage lenders were coming up with very creative ways to mitigate that loss. And in the case of this man's bank here, what they came up with was to force subprime mortgage holders to purchase insurance products and add that into their mortgage. Not only was that move illegal, but they were charging premiums for those insurance products at a rate that was much higher than they needed to be. So that resulted in those mortgage holders being in an upside down situation for, well, a long ass time. And what I mean by upside down is that the value of their mortgage far exceeded the value of their property, and it made them stuck. They couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't get out from underneath of it. They couldn't sell the house because the house wasn't worth nearly as much as what their mortgage value was, and they couldn't refinance it with another lender because another lender would say, wait a minute, how much do you owe on that property? Pff, that's way too much money. Sorry, can't help you. Now, as far as the bankruptcy and leaving tens of thousands of customers penniless, I'm not so sure about that either, because what actually led to the bankruptcy was steps taken by the very customers of the bank. You see, it was a movement initiated by disgruntled bank customers that said, we are going to force this bank into bankruptcy because they thought that they would be better off. So this was the customer's mentality, not the bank's mentality. The customers were the ones that said, we're going to force you into bankruptcy. And how did they do that? They got together and they withdrew all of their money, and they did it quick, to the tune of 600 million euros in like a week and a half withdrawn from this man's bank. And that kind of move is going to shut anybody down. But what did he do? What did this man individually do when he was faced with that reality? Did he just take his millions and ride off into the sunset? No, he did not. And this is my opinion, but my opinion is that this man did everything that he could to prevent the bankruptcy. And another thing that I want you to be aware of about banks, okay, is that they are the highest regulated institutions on the planet. And there is no way that if you are a CEO or president of a bank that you are going to implement policy and procedure without a central bank or regulatory agency knowing about it. Now, I am not trying to make excuses for what they did. Was it the right thing to do? This predatory subprime lending that they were doing? Absolutely not. Was it illegal? It most certainly was illegal. However, they had the green light to move forward with that for as long as they were able to get away with it. But what this man did was that, the government gave him a deadline to come up with a solution. And instead of taking his millions and running off into the sunset, he was hard at work. He was hard at work not only trying to save the bank, but to come up with steps to make those customers that were impacted by that predatory lending whole again. And it was the Court of Amsterdam that shut them down prior to the deadline. They didn't even give him all of the allotted time to come up with the solution. They just said, you know what, nah, you're done. And that's that. And the domino effect that comes with a 400 million euro enterprise filing bankruptcy was soon to follow. Now, this is not an attempt to change anyone's mind about anything. You guys do whatever you want to do. I am just wanting to give context to a blanket statement that was put on one of my videos that could potentially sway someone in one way when, if they had all of the facts, could potentially want to go a different way. That's all. But those are the facts, and you can take it as you can interpret it however it is that you wish. Were they conducting an illegal activity? Yeah, they were. But what I understand is that what he was doing was common practice in the mortgage industry at that time. So it was kind of like a monkey see, monkey do type of deal. Does it make it right? No way. Not saying that it made it right, but I get it, right? You see one person doing one thing and it's working and they're making more money than they could have possibly imagined doing this subprime mortgage lending. But with subprime mortgage lending, there's so much risk involved. We're not only going to sell these particular individuals this inflated insurance product, we're going to make them have it. That's where they messed up, by forcing their customer's hand and not giving them the option. But, not only did his bank, suffer those repercussions of those type of lending practices, but hundreds and hundreds of other mortgage lenders did. And in fact, there are plenty of people that are sitting in a jail cell right now. And he is not. And again, my opinion, it is because he was given the green light from a higher entity to go forward. And before all of it came to light, whether it be in the courtroom or whatever, they shut him down. Because that is the way the corporate world works. It's, we are going to do whatever it is we need to do to cover our own asses. So take that as you wish. Love to hear your thoughts about it. comments, concerns. Thanks for watching. God bless.